Dressing and undressing. Activity number 6 on your PAP, how your disability affects you. How are you going to answer that? You're going to find out after this. Hello, I'm your host, Zakele, and in this episode, as probably you may know, we're going to discuss about activity number 6, question number 8, actually. And so yeah, how are you going to answer these questions? I'm going to give you all the details that you need to answer these questions, and all the information that I'm getting is from Citizens Advice. Citizen Advice Bureau and benefits and work.gov.uk and from the government's website, which is the .gov.uk. And so let's get started. I'll be reading all the information from the pages. And so I'm going to start from Citizens Advice. So dressing and undressing. What this question means. This question is for you to describe any difficulties you have or under... So this question is for you to describe any difficulties you have dressing or undressing. This means putting on and taking off unmodified appropriate clothes, including shoes and socks. Appropriate clothes means clothes that are appropriate for the weather, the occasion, and the time of the day. Try to think about how you get dressed and undressed, including any aids or appliances or help you need from other people. It might help to imagine how you'd manage to get dressed at someone else's house or in a shop, in a changing room. So if you will be there, how you get dressed or undressed. So the question number 8A. Do you use any aid or appliances to dress or undress? Yes, no, sometimes. You should probably tick yes if you use items like shoe horns, the big thingy. Use modified clothing, for example, front fastening bras or Velcro fastening. Can't wear certain things. For example, you have to wear clothes with zips rather than buttons, or slip-on shoes rather than shoes with laces. Use crunches to hold up while you dress or undress. You should also tick yes if you need to use something to help you but you don't at the moment. 8B. Do you need help from another person to dress or undress? Yes, no, sometimes. You should probably tick yes if someone reminds you, someone encourages you, someone supervises you, someone stays with you to make sure you're safe or not at risk, someone helps you in any way. It doesn't have to be physical help, and you need help but you don't get. It's important to you tell the DWP more by explaining your situation in the box you're gonna find on your form. It's your chance to give the DWP a true picture on how your conditions affects your ability to dress and undress. They will use this to decide if you get PAP. You can also use this space to explain what help you need but you don't get. Quite a lot. You can't get dressed or undressed on your own. Make clear if someone else helps you to get dressed and undressed. Who helps you, what they do and why. You should also explain if either getting dressed or undressed makes you tired or cause you any pain. If it takes you at least twice as long as someone without a disability or condition to get dressed or undressed, it's important to state this. If you have help, you could compare yourself with the person who helps you. If you have difficulty with some items or clothes, be specific about who helps you, what they do to help you, and which items they help you with. For example, maybe they help you just to set up your shoes or this kind of stuff. There might be some clothes you avoid wearing altogether. For example, if you wear trousers with an elasticated waist as you can't manage a belt, or cardigans rather than jumpers because you can't lift your arm. Think about whether you could repeatedly get dressed and undressed if you needed to. For example, if you spilled something down your clothes and need to change when you only just got dressed. Think about whether this would make you tired or cause you any pain, not because you spilled the drink, the pain that caused you to do the activity. If the only footwear you can manage is slip-on shoes, you should explain. It's also important to state if you need help to get them on or off. The DWP might decide you don't have problem if you can get slip-on shoes on and off unaided. So if you use any slip-on shoes, for example, don't write just I'm using slip-on shoes. Just write why and how. Do you use the shoe horn? Did you have somebody to help you put the slip on? But because. If it takes you at least twice as long as someone without a disability or condition to get dressed and undressed, important to say this. It might help compare yourself to someone you know or your carer if you have one. If you need prompting, reminding, or encouraging to get dressed or undressed. Think about whether you don't don't get dressed or undressed when other people think you should. This could be for many reasons. Perhaps it causes you pain, leaves you exhausted, you can't face it, or it makes you anxious. If you don't get undressed when you go to bed or get dressed in the morning, try to explain why and how often this happens. Be specific about being prompt, reminded, or encourage, and who helps. Here are some examples. I suffer from depression and I often feel too low to get dressed. It seems like a big effort and I find it hard to be motivated to do it unless my dad comes around and say I should. He usually comes around 2 or 3 times a week. Unless he comes, I don't usually get dressed. It's very painful for me to change my clothes. It takes about an hour for the pain in my back to subside afterwards, and I have to take painkillers. It's hard to put myself through. So I'm not going out the day. If I'm not going out that day, I won't change out of my night clothes. You need help to choose appropriate clothes to wear. Think about when you need some help to choose which clothes to wear. You should also say who helps you and what would happen if you didn't have any help. Here's some examples. I'm partially sighted and I need help to pick out clothes as I can end up without something inside. I can end up with something inside out or back to front. This happened also to me. Due to Michael's Asperger's, he doesn't appreciate what clothes are appropriate. He seems clothes are poorly functional and doesn't see that some things shouldn't be worn together, or that t-shirt is full of holes. Say if you're not changing your clothes regularly enough and they are dirty. This can also mean you're not wearing appropriate clothes. If you even need prompting or encourage you to get change or wash your clothes, then write this down. Getting dressed in public or at an inappropriate time. If you ever got undressed in the street or at any other time that other people thought was appropriate, make sure you put this on your phone. Explain why you think it has happened. For example, this was an effect of a specific condition. This can be quite common in people who have dementia. Aids you use or adapted clothing. Think about the aids you use to get dressed or undressed. It might help to imagine getting dressed at a friend's house instead of your own. Cover all the things you use and why you need them. For example, if you can only pull on your clothes with a dressing stick, a thing that you can pull them up. Think about how much longer it would take you without an aid. Will it take you twice as long or more? Explain if getting dressed and undressed make you tired or cause you pain. Here are some examples of aids. A shoehorn, front fastened bra, Velcro fastening shoes, dressing stick, a leg lifter, magnetic buttons, open back or side open clothing. Worth knowing, tell the DWB if you're using an aid to reduce the mental or physical symptoms like pain, discomfort, or tiredness of getting dressed or undressed. Make it clear it only reduces that feeling and that you're still experiencing. Say free risk. Tell the DWP if you have or think you might slip or fall when getting dressed. You might get too hot or cold because you can't get clothes on and off. Make it clear why it can happen, how often it can happen, how badly it can affect you, and how you try to prevent it. Example, you'd rely on Andrea or someone to help. It is because someone didn't help you. If it's because you confused or have trouble remembering, full stop. So dressing and undressing, list any aids you use to dress, such as modified buttons, zips, front fastening bra, Velcro fastening, and shoe aids. Write down if you still need assistance despite using such aids, even if this does not take long. Let them know if you need someone to choose clothing is clean and appropriate. For example, if you have a visual impairment and cannot see stains or make your own or marks on your own clothing. So this activity looks at your ability. What is this activity about? So this activity looks at your ability to reliably dress and undress yourself. The clothing should be appropriate to your culture, should not have been specially adapted, and should be reasonable. For example, if you cannot pull a jumper over your head but you can wear a cardigan, it is probably reasonable to explain you do so, but it will be not reasonable to expect you to dress anyway in loose, elasticated clothing with no fastening and slip-on shoes. If that is your manage to dress, if it takes you a long time, you can't do it safely to reasonable standard or as often as you need. The law. Remember reliably, the most important word. Remember words like unaided, prompting, supervision, and assistance appears in many activities and have strict legal definitions. So the one that we have in this activity is dress and undress, means include puts on and takes off socks and shoes as well. Does your condition affect you dressing or undressing? Only put a cross in the no box if you're sure that this activity doesn't apply to you. You should consider this information above, including whether the descriptor applied to you, taking into account the definition and whether you can do it reliably. Try answering the 6 questions under the 8b below. Tell us about the difficulties you have with dressing and undressing and how you manage that. This is your opportunity to explain to the DWP why you should score points for this activity. What condition causes you problem? You need to make the link between the effect of the condition and the problems you have with dressing and undressing. Otherwise, the decision maker may argue that you simply prefer to have help or find it more convenient to use an aid. For example, you make it very breathless because of COPD, and so takes more than twice as long as someone without a health condition to dress or undress. Or you may get very distressed because of attention deficit disorder and begin other tasks before completing getting dressed, so that you need properly to do so. That's me. Number 2, what is the problem you have? What are the problems you have? You need to explain in as much details as possible what problems you have. I will explain in reliably the most important PFP word above. You need to include details about time. Does it take you more than twice as long as other people? Safely. Is there a danger to you or anyone else? Standards. How well can you do it, and does it cause you issues, fatigue or breathlessness? Repeatedly. Can you do it as often as a reasonable require? So, if you're physically able to dress and undress without help, for example, but it will take you a great deal of time to do so, or you will be too exhausted afterwards to carry out the everyday activity, then you may score points for this activity. And it's night now. Wow. Anyway, continue. You should include details of any problems you have with motivating yourself to dress or undress because it is painful for you. Need encouragement to dress, undress, or put on clean clothes because you experience depression, anxiety, panic attack, or some other sort of mental health problem. Putting on and taking off night clothes, underwear, skirts, trousers, socks, blouse, shirt, coat, hat, tying and untying shoelaces, fastening and unfastening your bra, and any other problems with buttons, zips, laces, and braces. You have problems selecting clothes to wear because you have a visual impairment, including making sure that clothes are clean, matching, and appropriate to the weather and the occasion, and that nothing is inside out or back to front. Being able to choose clothes that are suitable for the weather, for the time of day, or for what you are doing. Going to bed still dressed in the clothes you have worn all day. A problem having to carry out certain actions or rituals when you dress or undress, including taking extra time to choose clothes on the basis of your appearance, which may take you long time to do so. And number 3, do you use any aid or appliances? If because of your health condition or disability you need to use aid or appliances in order to dress and undress, then you may score points for the 6B, unless a higher scoring descriptor also applies to you. If you don't use them, please read on, because the decision maker may say that you should and award fewer points unless you deal with this. The kind of things that might be relevant include button hook, zip puller, long handle shoehorn, grabbers, dressing stick, leg lifter, elastic shoelaces, stocking and tight aid, color detector. Caution. Decision maker may argue that you will use an aid or appliance as an alternative to having supervision or assistance from another person as a way to give you fewer points. If there is common aid or appliance which you might be expected to use but you don't, give detail. 4, should you have help from another person? Help includes help you need but you don't get. So if you manage to dress or undress yourself because you don't have help but you aren't safe doing it, or it takes you very long time, for example, then you need to say so. And help can be in the form of prompting, supervision to keep you safe, or assistance. 5, is there a particular time of the day when you have problems? If there's a time of the day when you need to do an activity but you can't, then you should score points, even if you can do it at other times of the day. You may dress in the morning and undress at night, but you also need to be able to put on and take off outdoors clothes at any time during the day. You may particularly have problems with dressing first thing in the morning morning because of stiffness or undressing at night because of fatigue? Do your ability vary? Number 6. If your condition affects you in the same way all the time, it's important that you say so. If your condition is variable, it is equally important that you explain how it varies. Remember, to score points, you need to show that you are affected to the majority of the time of any given 12 months period. So if you affected like 5 months in a year, then you're not gonna get any point. If there are usually periods of the day, weeks or months when you are able to do an activity, then explain this and give your best estimate on how much of the time this is. If there's a usually period of the day, weeks, although they are used repeatedly on the PAP2 form, don't use the words good day unless there are days when you have no problem at all, because this is what the DWP are likely to take them to mean. So if you say that you have good days and bad days, and I fall for it, and some of those I write my good days, so they took only the good days. Sample answers. Try answer the 6 questions. What conditions cause your problem? What are the problems you have? Do you use aids and appliances? Should you have help from another person? Is there a particular time of the day when you have problems? Do your ability vary? Please note, these are just examples of the kind of information you may wish to give. They aren't correct answers, correct or any sorts. Of any sort. But it is vital that you give details evidence rather than just ticking boxes. In addition, if you can give an example, the more memorable the better of when things went wrong. This will help to make your evidence more personal and persuasive. You don't need to put the numbers in as this is here, like 1, 2, 3. So it's only 3 examples and we're done. Example number 1. I have problems with this activity because of stiffness caused by arthritis. I suffer pain in my arm, upper back and neck when trying to put on anything with sleeves, such as shirt, jackets and coats, and when pulling on t-shirts or jumpers over my head. Pulling on underwear, trousers, socks and shoes also cause pain in my back, neck and arms. I find the pain completely exhausting and often have to stop and rest several times when dressing. I don't use any aids. I have tried things like a sock slider, shoehorn and grabber because they do not prevent me from being in pain and make the process slower, so I'm in pain for longer. My son usually helps me to dress and undress. This doesn't stop being painful, but it does make it less so and make it great deal quicker. The pain and stiffness it worse in the morning up and until lunchtime. If my son goes out before I am up, if my son goes out before I am up, I often end up wearing my dressing gown until lunchtime. I can then usually, though not always, manage to dress myself, though still when pain and very slowly. I am like this on vast majority of days. Example number 2. So again, according to the questions that I said earlier, I have been diagnosed with dementia. I have difficulty concentrating and get confused when trying to complete familiar tasks such as dressing and undressing. I am unable to remember to get dressed or to choose appropriate clothes. For example, I was recently found by a neighbor on the way to the village shop in my night dress. The weather was very cold and I was putting myself at risk of hypothermia. I am often unwilling to get dressed or undressed and need prompting on or even cajoling. I don't know what that means. I do not need to use aid or appliances to get dressed. I need someone else to remind me to dress or undress, choose appropriate clothes, and increasingly to actually get me dressed. I need help dressing and undressing every morning and every evening, and also on occasions during the day if I am incontinent or spill food on myself. I need someone to remind me to dress or undress, choose my clothes every day. I need someone to actually dress me on the majority of days. And last example, and we're done. By the way, before we're done, click the like button and subscribe, so you don't forget. Example number 3. I have very breathless doing any kind of activity because of my COPD. I also suffer from depression, which means that I can't motivate myself to get dressed. I get extremely breathless moving about, so I am not able to move to my cardboard to choose clothes. I can't stand to put my trouser on, bend to put my socks on, or lift my hands over my head to put a shirt on. So just to give you an example, so apparently the person is completely disabled, so you just give details of what he's not thinking that they will assume that he can, so he needs to tell them what, even if whatever is your condition, you have to write what you do and what you can't do. All these activities make me breathless. Because of my depression and the effort involved in getting dressed, I will not get dressed on my own. My carer has to help me. My carer choose my clothes and help me to dress. I have been given a dressing stick to help me dress, but as I now rely on my carer to dress me, I don't use it. My carer always gets me dressed and undressed. Even so, it takes us a long time as I get scarily breathless undertaking this activity. I need help with dressing in the morning when I get up and in the evening when I go to bed. My condition is the same all the time. I need the help every day. And that was all the help you can get to answer your questions on dressing and dressing of your PP4. Hope you find helpful this video, and don't forget to subscribe and like to my videos and my channel, just to make sure that when the following video is coming up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.